Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Hoops New Mexico Basketball Courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Samantha.
Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti, joined by Ed Nunez, and we also have a very special guest. Man, am I right? He is the head coach at the University of New Mexico for the baseball team, Ray Birmingham. And Coach, this is the week of the finals of the College World Series. Kind of bittersweet to have you on at this time, but we've been efforting a couple of weeks, and thank you for coming on board.
No, you're welcome. Always glad. This is New Mexico's TV station, baby.
When you look, or have you watched any of the World Series? I know for me, I've seen some of it, and it's hard to watch.
I've watched all of it.
But isn't it hard?
No, not really. I mean, you know, I'm a veteran baseball coach, Cowboy. I get really upset, and I stay upset for about this long, and then I get over it and move on. Let's go.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I guess you have to do that, but I mean, just emotionally, you watch, you know, what's going on, especially in the regionals and the super regionals, and I had this conversation with you over the phone. You know, what might have been and what could have been.
Well, 10 years ago, when I took this job, I would introduce myself at places and as the baseball coach at the University of New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And the response was, we have a baseball team? And I would say, yes, we have a really good baseball team. We have a lot of good kids on that baseball team. Where do you guys play? And I'd say, well, we play some games in the Isotopes, but we practice next to the pit. And they would say, there's a baseball field next to the pit? And I go, yes, on the south side. And it's the truth. And people didn't know that. And so today, People are excited that we won. They're mad when we lose, and they've got an opinion about Lobo baseball, and that's awesome.
Well, and the other thing is Lobo baseball has also made it on the national stage. There's people talking about your players. There's people talking about your team. Obviously the hitting, and this year the pitching was darn good too.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's becoming what I hope to have, and the facility now is almost the footprint that I want. The program has been 7 championships in 10 years, nationally ranked 8 out of 10 years, lots of players in the Pro Ball, lots of recognition countrywide. All that's happening, but it's like basketball. Can they get to the Final Four? Right. Can our football team get to the BCS game? Can baseball get to Omaha? Yeah, those are the big 3.
Coach, you know what? I've been here a long time, and I remember when Vince Capelli was here, Jim Fregosi, Rich Allday.
Yeah, and, great guys.
I think that you're right. A lot of people for a long time, and I followed Lobo baseball. I remember when Joe Coleman pitched, for UNM, and I remember listening to Robert Portnoy this year saying, because I was right there doing the PA for about 10 games, and Robert Portnoy said that Joe Coleman still held the innings pitched or something like that, and I was like, wow, because I officiated high school basketball and officiated a lot of Coach Coleman's games. But I think when you say that people care and have an opinion about Lobo baseball, you're absolutely right. I sure enjoyed the heck out of my time out there. I really did.
Thanks.
Because you got Stadjahar Mang and Jared Mang's mother. Gosh, if you don't hear her all over the park, come on, Mango, and I'd tell her too. I'd say, gosh, you must have been a coach somewhere because of that voice. But you're right. I think that's the thing. People right now have an opinion. They care. I know I was following it even when I didn't do the PA for the tournament. I was listening on the radio. I wanted to know what happened, and there is a passion that you've started here, and it took a while. It did. You got your facilities are better now. They're increasingly better every year, and expectations along with that have definitely risen.
Yeah, so I like that.
Yeah. What else would you want?
That's what you want.
Right.
Tell folks about your clubhouse. Went many years without a clubhouse, heck, without running water. Now all of a sudden you got a beautiful. First time when I walked into a coach, I told you it looked like a major league clubhouse. And I've been in a bunch of major league clubhouses.
Bud Black said the same thing. Bud Black came and visited and said, this is better than the Rockies. And it is. So when I first got here, it was bad, and for whatever reason. And guys like Jordan Pacheco had a little squared-off room in a batting cage with a stack of metal PE lockers for their locker, and no heat, no air conditioning, no running water, kind of a dusty floor that were rubber mats that were puzzled together that were supposed to be for a weight room somewhere, and it was just makeshift, and it was not good. And the kids that played Lobo baseball then, I tipped my hat to them because they really wanted to represent, they really wanted to play, and those guys, that locker room today, that new nice one, is theirs anytime they want to go in there. And they can sleep in there, they can eat in there, they can bathe in there, they can do whatever they want in there, because I don't want to get soft because we have a nice locker room.
Right.
And I want that blue-collar mentality that the Lobo baseball players from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s had, because those guys are special to me.
And how special is it to have Santa Ana Star Field, which once upon a time was Lobo Field? How nice is it to at least have what you have? Because when I was doing the radio on a full-time basis, you had to travel just to go practice. You had to hop on buses, hop in vehicles, go to practice at all different times of the day, and those times are long gone, luckily.
Well, Nathan Garcia and Santa Ana Pueblo have changed us. But so have a lot of people. So did R.D. Hubbard and Joan Dale Hubbard.
Right.
And so did D. Dennis, and so did Johnny Cope, and so did Tate Branch, and so did Forrest Tire and the Forrest family, and I can just go on down the line, and the Grady's, but you know what? Every one of them are New Mexicans,
right.
And every one of them were taking pride in New Mexico, and that's what fires me up the most, is that this is New Mexico. This is purely New Mexico. The kid that might hit the home run to beat Missouri State was from Los Alamos, you know, and before that he was from Manzano High School, or he was from Volcano Vista High School, or Roswell High School. I remember we playing.
Don't leave out Sandia.
Sandia either. But so here we are. We're in UCLA at a regional, and UCLA is the #1 team in the country, and it's fixing to be championship rounds. Going to be New Mexico and UCLA. But for us to get there, we've got to get this last out in a first game. Against San Diego University of San Diego. Chris Bryant is at the plate. Hobie McClain, a little 82, 83 mile an hour submarine right-hander from Roswell High School, is on the mound. Go get him, Hobie. That's Chris Bryant, Cowboy.
Yeah.
That's the #1 trip pick in the country. He's up.
That was my last year, by the way.
Yeah.
On the full time.
And he gets him out.
Got him out.
Chopper to short, second, first, game over. That's what I want. That's what makes me proud. That's what's cool. Because I think if you're going to coach at the University of New Mexico, you better do your absolute best to make the people of New Mexico happy and use their kids. And I see the argument in Sports Speak Up all the time. You know, you're right. You are absolutely right. And I'm going to do every effort I can. They're not always going to be happy with the playing time that I give them, but they're going to be part of this, and they can stay as long as they want.
Absolutely.
And I will continue to work with them as long as they want. And that's the commitment I think we should have as coaches at the University of New Mexico.
One of the guys that I want to ask you about, and we'll talk about the guys that were drafted this year a little later on in the program, but Ed mentioned Jared Mang. You know,
well, right now he's the hot Lobo from New Mexico.
Yes, he is from Los
Alamos. He's not the only one.
But you and I talked about him. I bring him up only because when I was doing the fill-in games earlier in the year, you were trying to develop him a little bit, and kind of get his swing going. And something clicked about the second month of the season that turned him into one of the hottest hitters in the country.
Well. If you are out there, you guys who are coaching and teaching right now, because I'm a New Mexico educator, coaching the millennials is different now. And so the millennials have access to more information than we three ever had.
Right.
And so when we went to the classroom or we went to practice in 1971 or whenever, the teacher was the go-to person for all our information. We had to trust him, right?
Yep.
That don't happen anymore. That doesn't happen anymore. You're trying to coach a kid, and he can Google Mike Trout right now and get a direct teaching lesson with Mike Trout on how to swing a bat. So that's what we're dealing with. So selling it to them after they've already destroyed everybody in high school is kind of hard. They have to fail first. Jared didn't fail, but he finally bought in. And he hadn't even bought in to start the season, because you remember at DBU, he didn't hit at all.
No, and that's why we were having that conversation, because we both knew that he had it in him. And then, like I said, about the second month of the season, all of a sudden he turned into a ball of fire.
Well, the frustration comes is because I'm so adamant about pushing him to do it. And then finally, the guys that I've coached in my lifetime who've come to me and gone, and Jared did this, and this is not the only time it's ever happened. Coach, if you tell me to jump over the Sandias, I'll do it. Whatever you say goes. I'm not going to argue with you anymore. I'm going to do exactly as you say. 12 of them led the country in hitting and got drafted in the top 5 rounds. So I don't ever pour that on them. I don't ever go, hey, look at this. This is what's about to happen.
No, but that list is increasing, though.
But can you imagine?
Yeah.
And so you deal with that, and then when they buy in, they buy in.
You know what, Coach? Also, I agree with that. But I think one of the approaches that you're talking about, though, I can appreciate. You're from Hobbs. You grew up in Hobbs.
I did. I'm proud
a New Mexican too, man. I grew up in Albuquerque all my life.
Right.
And when you talk about New Mexico, man, I heard you say that at the Hall of Fame too. Your Hall of Fame speech. I get tingles up my spine because when you say that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm a New Mexican too, man.
Yeah.
And so I think the approach from there, and you're right. I saw a lot of your games. You did the best you could to get the guys to play in time. You got to win. That's the first goal of any coach. But you also know, you mentioned the guys, you're also known as one of the better hitting coaches in the country. So I get that you're right about millennials. I work with a lot of them every day. And my son is 25. He's in law school. He's real proud of him. But they get their information. You're right. I still remember being in school at Holy Ghost, at St. Pius, and at Highland, at the chalkboard. And, I'd go get an encyclopedia if I didn't know something, I'd look it up. But it wasn't the way it is now. Just one touch of a fingertip, boom, bam. It's a lot different. We're not the final authorities anymore, and that's okay. So what challenges that present to you, though, Coach? I mean, again, you've had success developing hitters. So what kind of success, what kind of challenges
the
turnaround
time,
to you?
The turnaround time is hard for me because this is my 5th decade, and I'm moving towards my 6th decade of coaching. And so beforehand, I'm a grinder. I like to get out there and go to work early and stay late and keep pounding, keep working, keep pounding, keep working. They're not that way. They want it like that because they're from a society that's like that.
Yeah.
They need that right now. So the journey, they don't see the journey. If you talk to a millennial today, they go, hey, I'm going to graduate and then I want that job right there. Well, that guy that holds that job presently took 40 years for him to get there. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
They don't see the journey.
Oh, yeah. My wife and I talk about that all the time.
We all do.
Right.
And so the millennials don't see the journey. And so, and their parents don't either. And their parents are right now people too, kind of. And it takes a while. It takes time. But if you stay at it. But what I did see beforehand was if I said do this, they did it, and it paid off for them. Now it's a fight. It's an argument. Chris DeVito, Dave Glass, the owner of the Kansas City Royals, is excited about Chris DeVito and his minor league system. He's a Lobo. Chris DeVito, when he came to the University of Mexico, had to learn some things to be better, and he refused it. He would they give you the bobblehead, and then they do whatever they want to do, and then he would not be very good. And so there was a fight with me and Chris DeVito because that's the way I am. I'm just that old hard-nosed. We're going to do it this way, and we're going to keep doing it, and I'm not giving up on you. So he finally got into it and bought in. His mental side had to do it. Well, this is a kid that had nowhere to go. 8th round draft pick, picks up 6-figure salary, and he's kicking butt now. That's how the process has become for me, where it didn't used to be that process for me. And I will tell them, I didn't used to have to fight with you to do this. I can prove it to you. When I came to the University of New Mexico, I used these machines because we hit at game speed, like 95, 90 miles an hour. So, most guys just throw BP. Right. We don't do that.
No soft toss.
There's no kumbaya at Lobo baseball.
Wow.
And so a lot of guys were frustrated because they couldn't hit it. And they said, what good are we getting out of this? I'm fouling it off, chopping it off my foot, missing it. I said, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it and try to do what I ask you to do. You will hit this because for us to go to Omaha, you got to hit that.
Yep.
But I brought 2 kids from New Mexico Junior College, and Manzano Monarch was one of them, and Brian Cavazos Galvez. And Brian came, back then when I first came, he went 4-on-1s, and so the 4 other 4-on-1s were New Mexico Junior College guys by themselves. They never saw him hit. Then we got them all together one day when we could get them all together and hit. They would struggle, and guys were mad, and they were upset, and they're standing around the cage. Cavazos walks in there. The machines are the same, throwing 95 mile an hour with a slider machine on beside it, throwing 83 to 84, right? And Cavazos commenced to hitting balls on Oppo, on University, out onto Steve Alford's car, over the center field wall, and onto the pit. Just easy as pie. Boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
And all those guys are watching him, like, Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. Well, this is the process, Cowboy. And Brian would say, yes, it's frustrating at first, but once you get past it, you're really going to turn into somebody. And that saved me. But now today, that's what we're dealing with.
He's Ray Birmingham, the head coach of the New Mexico Lobos baseball team, and this is the Sports Desk. We'll take a break and come right back.
That's dangerous right there. Beautiful pass ahead, but Pavlik comes out. His opportunity. He's taking all of them. Farpo, Pavlik's out. 100, but he was at Star Brothers before the contest. A deflection. Yep. There's Goss and Pavlik. Lawrence wants to make that run. Oh, there's the goal. Good look here. Luke, yes, Lawrence slots it in. Salim took it away nicely. Oh, what a nutmeg there. Here comes Lawrence on a run. He's got a lot of options. He's going to take the shot. Goal from Clancy. Well, maybe not. We might get another run. Tommy Ramos.
Altitude Sports Grill is where Albuquerque's sports fans won't miss a game. With locally crafted brews on tap and refreshingly crisp cocktails. Located in Hotel Cascada, Albuquerque residents find a staycation worth staying for. Catching Lobo sports, enjoying a beer on the beach, or wiping out, Hotel Cascada is home to your urban adventure. Affordable guest rooms, no-hassle water park parties, and much more.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
I am never getting married. Never. Guaranteed.
You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
I love it here.
We are never moving to the suburbs. We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Michelle Rudolph or Marty Size in Albuquerque.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. with not one, but 2 great locations, including outdoor patio. An atmosphere you won't want to miss. Geckos, off Academy and in Nob Hill. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez, the man to our right. Needs no introduction. He is the head coach at the University of New Mexico for the baseball team, Ray Birmingham.
The University of New Mexico.
The University of New Mexico, yes, sir. How you doing?
Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
I don't know, we're having more conversation off the air than
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've had a few breakfasts with this man, too. So
You've had a lot of everything with this guy. You've been on a lot of bus trips.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, and well, since you brought up the bus trip now, why don't you fill in one of the traditions that you have that
Well,
I've been a part of at least.
If you're a rookie on the Lobo bus traveling to Texas Tech or New Mexico State or wherever we go and get on a bus, you have to go to the front of the bus, grab the microphone, and sing your favorite song or a song that you pick. And so Scott Galletti did New York, New York. Robert Portnoy did Beth by Kiss. Well, I don't know. He wasn't very good at it, but yeah. So it's tradition. I did Okie from Muskogee. I did it, and I'll do it again. And everybody has to do it. And
all the
you
coaches,
can see all the players, everybody, the bus driver.
And see, I was fortunate because I was there when everyone had to do theirs. So I got to see the stuff. And I'll tell you what, Coach, and I get to say this on the air finally, and I've said it a bunch off the air. It is great for morale building. It is great for camaraderie because you could see the closeness just building as you're on that bus ride.
Yeah, bus rides are good for you. I've probably been on about 3,000 of them. So.
You and me
sometimes
both.
They're good for you, sometimes they're not good for you.
But I mean, at the same time, I mean, you've been doing this a long time with the guys singing on the bus. I mean, don't you feel the same way that it just kind of builds the character and kind of gets the guys close?
We do.
Closer?
It does, but now there's a lot of electronics on the bus. And then when I started riding the bus, it was a deck of cards, an igloo, and a pillow, and we played cards on the back of the bus.
Right.
And then occasionally there'd be some dominoes, but mainly cards. And yeah, there was more interaction then.
Yeah, there's a lot more of the high-tech games going on.
And the buses were slower, and there wasn't any air conditioning, and
I haven't noticed the buses getting any faster.
Oh, you watch Jerry drive that rascal. Sucker. No, they got a governor on it.
But when did you start doing that?
When did I start doing what?
Having the guys do that?
I've always done that. I've always
have. Okay.
Ed he mentioned Ralph Tasker, and when you build a program, you build a program. It's not just what are we going to do for practice today. It's signs and billboards and communications and being on this show and getting people involved and establishing traditions, and traditions are real important to any program. Cruel ones, serious ones, funny ones, whatever it is. We have one tradition now that with our new locker room, we have a big Lobo head. You can't step on the Lobo head. If I see you or anybody sees you step on the Lobo head in the middle of the locker room, you got 20 push-ups right then and there. But you can step on the Lobo head at the end of a winning game We have a light between the 4 TVs in the middle. It's a cherry light, and we stand you in the middle of the room, and we brag about you and all you've brought to our family, Lobo Baseball, and then we just run and start jumping up and down and going crazy, celebrating the victory. You should always celebrate. Baseball teams, programs are families. However you would build a family, that's how you'd build a program. Think about it. Think about it. So you got to brag about your children. You got to brag about your children, and that's important. Never miss birthdays. Always have a cake on a birthday, right? Pictures everywhere of the family, right? Yeah.
I think, you know what, Coach, I've been around, not baseball, but I've been around basketball, my whole life as a player, as a coach, as an official, as a broadcaster, and I think you're right. You have to build that camaraderie. I enjoy that. Even with my workers, I try to build that. Every day, I've got 20-some people that work for me every day. Morning, how you doing? Go around. Hey, how's the program going? What are the kids doing? Are you enjoying? Having a good day, having a good summer. If you're not, come on down. To my senior members, what's going on? Eye contact. You doing okay? You having a good day? That's important to me. I think the thing, I used to say this, and I've coached a lot of teams. Once it stops becoming fun, we need to stop.
Yes.
Once we, because to me, Coach, I played hoops up until 2 years ago. I played till I was 53.
Wow.
And there's still an urge, because I have a gym over there where I work at, and I always tell those guys, I said, none of you guys ever stop me, none of you. And it's joking, but there's still that ego. There's still that ego that wants to and play. And then I officiated 22 years, so my knees are hammered. Yeah, but I'll wake up someday and I'll think, you know what, man, one more time, and then I know that if I go out there again, they'll pull me back in. It'll be 2 times a week, 3 times a week. It's an addiction. So I know that I can't do that anymore. Right. But I think that's the thing that I try to do even to this day. I've got to say I'm lucky that the teams I coached at Highland, the AAU teams I coached, my kids still, the kids still keep in contact with me. They still call me coach. They still want to know what I think. Not just, and I used to say, look, it's more than about basketball, okay? Because what's your plan after basketball? Because I got to say that none of you going to the NBA. I'm just telling you the truth. So what are your plans? What are you going to do? Basketball is a small piece of the pie. So I think the family thing, God, I love that. Plus, you're still making it fun. They're coming in, they're looking forward. It's not a job, and it is, right? Still got to keep your position.
You got to be. We're trying to get to Omaha.
Yeah, right. Got to keep your position.
No.
You can still do both, right?
Yes, yes, it is. You can do both.
I had a conversation with a city administrator a couple of weeks ago. They want to come in and we got to check this. We're going to check this. You're going to, you might be terminated. So I told my staff, look, you can still have fun, follow the rules, and we can still have a good summer. I don't want it to be like where you're robots where you can't do your job. I'm going to be around checking, but you can still do both and have a good summer.
Sure you can.
So I think your approach, God, I love that. I love that because that's the most fun I ever had with coaches when they made it fun. I mean, to me, it's still fun. I mean,
Well, it has to be fun. It is a game.
Right.
And if you think about your grandmother or your mother, and there were special meals, and everybody still had to sit down and eat together.
Yep.
That's a rule that if you want to have a good family, we eat together. Baseball team, we eat together. And you have to celebrate people's special moments in their lives and remember them. You miss a birthday in a family, woo, drama. You can't do that. If you want to build a family, you got to brag about each other. You have to discipline each other. You have to hold each other accountable. All those things in a good family is a good program. Same thing.
One of the things you were talking about, the millennials of this day and age. At the same time, the good thing, and we've talked about this on road trips, Coach, the demeanor of the kids in airports, bus rides, hotels. I mean, it's commendable. Get comments all the time, how well behaved they are. I'll never forget the trip to Dallas Baptist. The only flight that we had was on the way to Dallas, and people were coming up to me and asking me, what business trip, they thought that they were all business majors going to some convention. What business convention? And then all of a sudden, the person saw one of the kids' gloves. That's a baseball team?
Yeah. Well, we have one of our traditions is clean shaven in the fall. Everybody has to be clean shaven, and to the hilt. Cut your hair short, clean shaven, and then if you have a team GPA of 3.2, then we'll let you do some things within reason.
Right.
The other thing is Ed mentioned Ralph Tasker. Ralph Tasker, when I grew up in Hobbs, the class of the Hobbs Eagle basketball team was their blazers. They had gold blazers, and when we played football, we had the same thing, gold and black blazers. And those blazers were given to us by the school, and it was mandatory. You look like $1 million when you get on that bus, and you might be riding that bus from Hobbs to Albuquerque with a blazer on. You're going to learn to dress for success. And so when I got here, we made the team wear suits on every trip, and we tell them it's important. You're representing the people of New Mexico, and we want them to think how classy we are. And so it's paid off.
Right.
We had a letter from Southwest Airlines several years ago telling us, the vice president telling us how classy our kids were, and how the whole country knew how classy our kids were. Besides, we're beating everybody too. So.
Getting the word out and beating people doesn't hurt either. Let's talk about some of the guys moving on this year. Start with Luis Gonzalez. I mean,
Luis Gonzalez should have been a first-round draft pick, and if he did turned his homework in, we probably would have been a first-round draft pick. But that affected him a little bit, and he's a great kid, and he's going to be fine without it. But Luis, and gosh, what a Lobo legend, man, Lobo legend, and we wish him the best. We know he's going to do well. Albuquerque's his other home, and fun watching him play for 3 years and grow up. But what was really cool for me is that the University of New Mexico helped him become a man. And the other University of Mexico, you don't know that Luis was on a really good academic track, because in the fall before this last spring, he had a 3.2 GPA.
Yeah, and I know it killed him what happened with him, and I know he felt very bad.
He'll fix that. He'll be back and graduate.
But he knows that he hurt his teammates, and I know that makes him very, very unhappy.
It did. He wished. Here's what happens to our players now, is that the players at the University of New Mexico who become the elite player, that kid never had a scout card in his life.
Right.
But this opportunity before him, he took advantage of it and became a possible first-round draft pick, as DJ Peterson did, as many of them have. They come to a ballpark just like any other kid comes to a ballpark. But as time as a Lobo grows, they come to a ballpark, and then after the game, the general manager from the Kansas City Royals is standing there waiting to talk to you about your future. The general manager from the New York Yankees, now how would you and I handle that to be the first time? And so that's what he was dealing with when that happened. Most people don't know that. But every pro team in the country was biting for his time. Trying to figure out where to take
I know when the team was at DBU, there was a bunch of scouts there looking at both teams, but they were looking especially at Luis.
Luis was the premier player there. Yeah. So that's the pressures of the young people have today, and that's overwhelming.
Yeah. Jack Zellner's another guy. I mean, it was disappointing to see his season come to an end.
It was disappointing to lose Jack. I mean, you become so attached to these kids because you go through the ups and downs and the growth and the maturity, and he's a special guy. And had he been on the team, had he never gotten hurt, we might be way farther. We would have been way farther than we went.
I know it's kind of bittersweet on the next guy, Carl Stadjohar, but I know it would be nice to have him back, but you got to feel very, very good for him.
You know what, Carl's another one of those kids you like coaching, you enjoy watching him grow, and he went in the 18th round and probably should have gone in the 5 to 8 round. But Carl's such a conscientious kid, and he performed better with the University of New Mexico in the springtime here than he did in summer ball. Because we sent him out to Cape Cod last year and he hit 149. Yeah, and that's why he went in the 18th round instead of the 8th round, because of that performance the summer prior to. But he comes back here, he goes to work, he puts so much pressure on himself, and hopefully he can learn to relax. Because if he can learn to relax, he'll make us all proud.
Well, much like Jack and much like Luis, consistency is the first word that comes to my mind.
Yeah. Day in and day out, that guy's a grinder. That guy's a true baseball player. I wish the best for him. I hope he relaxes and it happens for him.
And then another guy who could have been back next year, Tyler Stevens.
Right.
I mean, what a season he had. And it looked like, he was kind of churning at the end of the year, maybe scuffling a little bit. And then he came up with a great performance at the end of the season.
He did. He doesn't have a big fastball, and obviously he doesn't have the most beautiful body in the world. But he's got a great changeup, and I told him he could pitch in the big leagues.
Yeah. You've been calling that a big league changeup since at least last year.
Oh yeah, it's a big league changeup, and it's a changeup that can give him a role in the big leagues if they find this guy a spot in the eighth. Mm-hmm. He can get left-handers and right-handers out with that changeup, and that's what you need. You don't have to go to the bullpen for a matchup with that guy like that. His fastball will gain some velocity. It got to a 90 or a 91. His command, he'll clean his body up. He's a super young man with great makeup, and so I think he'll make it. I think of all three, he might be the guy.
Yeah. What is it about him that makes you think that?
Change-up.
Well, that too.
Yeah, the changeup. I mean, if he can mature, Austin House is going to be in the big leagues here pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you don't know, when you get him, you're getting raw putty. You're not getting a man. You're getting a guy who could.
You bring up Austin House, kind of similar stories.
Same guy.
Yeah.
Austin House will be in the big leagues here pretty quick. Bet you. let's call it July 6th, big leagues Austin House.
That's a lot of excitement for the program. A lot of these players, and you mentioned Zellner, Stadjahar, and Luis Gonzalez, and it amazed me a little bit about Luis because you got him leading off and then pitching center field. He meant so much to the team. There's no question.
Oh, wow.
So when I read that, and I remember I told Scott it was late. I read it. I was like, oh man, Gonzo's not in the lineup, and Scott hadn't read it yet, and I think Scott was pretty surprised about that.
Yeah, he broke it to me. I hadn't seen the paper yet.
And so when you lost him, and then
see the story yet.
And then Jack Zellner broke his hand on that pitch. Coach, I mean, I don't have to tell you. I mean, you can pitch around that lineup a little bit with them not in it. And then I thought when Jared Mang was in there too, when they were all in there, and I thought Jared Mang just started spraying the heck out of the ball all over the place, man. I really did. He's getting good pitches to see because of those guys around him, and he's making the most of his opportunities. When you mentioned Tyler House and the control, did any of it have to do? I mean, it's a lot of wind out there at Santa Ana. I mean, so you think his control will be better later then? I mean, how much did the wind play a factor with that? Because it blew stuff all over all spring. It did.
Well, I thought early in the year his command with his fastball was way better, and I thought late in the year our pitchers didn't have the command that they had, and they got knocked around a little bit. And it's hard to pitch sometimes at Santa Ana Field with the wind blowing out as hard as it blows. But we lost our command, and that was my number one issue leaving the season is our pitchers lost their command, and so that's being addressed right now.
Another thing that needs to be addressed, obviously, is replacing the aforementioned players. I know that's a problem for you, and baseball.
No.
Explain to the folks that may not know how the scholarships work with baseball.
Well, you have to spread them around. You got, let's just talk about Skip Bergman, probably the winningest Division I coach when he made LSU win 6 championships in 10 years. Well, he would tell you, I'm going to give you a big one when you come in, then I'm going to cut it when you're a sophomore, I'm going to cut it when you're a junior, and you're probably going to have nothing when you're a senior. Because we only have 11.7 scholarships for 35 kids. So we try to make it affordable for everybody. But whether you have a scholarship, you can have, say you're an out-state kid, you can have an 80% of your school's paid for, and you're going to pay more than the in-state kid who has no scholarship. You got plane tickets. You got to fly back and home forth from New Orleans or Austin or Maryland or L.A. or Washington, wherever we get you from. And you got to pay for that plane ticket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Right.
Okay. Then your 80% is not going to pay for maybe your meals. So you got to pay for your meals. The kid who gets a scholarship in town, he gets 25%. He can stay with his parents. All his school's paid for, and he got no expense. Eat at home.
Now, you know what? I think that's a That's a great way to look at it, because you mentioned New Mexico ball players. You have a lot of them on your roster.
Ton of them.
And I saw Kevin Andrus at the park a couple of times, a Volcano Vista coach, and Kevin himself was in the Pittsburgh Pirates system.
Lobo.
Right. Heck of a left-hander back in the day. Played some basketball with Kevin. Heck of an athlete. So I think you're building from within, and you're trying to build with a lot of New Mexico players, and I see that in Sports Speak Up. I read that every day as well. You can only do what you do. Like you said, you want to win the games, but you got a lot of New Mexico flavor. You're from New Mexico. You're a true New Mexican through and through. And part of that family atmosphere, that's New Mexico, man.
You know what? I want to come watch our kids play.
Right.
I want to watch our kids play. And sometimes they're not going to play very good, and sometimes they're not going to play where you thought they should play. But they're going to play, and they're going to be part of this till they don't want to be a part of this. There are kids that come to me that want to be on the University of New Mexico team. Mm-hmm. And I go, you're not ready yet, mijo. So I'm going to send you to a friend of mine in Dodge City. He goes, well, I don't have any scholarships. And I go, well, hold on. I'll call the guy. He goes, who? And I go, so-and-so and so-and-so. There'll be two kids that sit across the desk from me. He goes, all right, put them on the phone. You have a scholarship, you have a scholarship. Thanks, I appreciate it, Stevenson. I'll see you later. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm helping all the kids. You may not be able to play for me, but you want to go somewhere else? I'll help you. I will help you play baseball as long as you get a degree and go to school and do things right.
And the other thing that's proven, Coach, is the fact that you go out and find the players. I say find. I mean, you're going to San Diego, Volcano Vista, but I mean, your judge of talent amazes me sometimes.
I've been doing it a long time. It's easy. I can sit at a game, and now I've been doing it so long, I can watch a pitcher for a couple innings and go, I can tell you what he's going to throw.
You judge potential, though. That's the thing. You look at a guy and you say, oh, he's going to be good.
Well, I've been doing it a long time. I mean,
and those are the guys that you take the chance on. And
it's like Ed and I talked about it. Everybody goes, well, I want to be that guy that looks at a kid and knows what he should be. Mm-hmm. Look, we have a kid. We've had some kids that hit the ball late in the year. But I turned him into a pitcher. He was up to 90 miles an hour and doing a great job, but he wanted to hit this past year. So I'm trying to get you an education. Right. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to use New Mexico boys, and I'm trying to get us to Omaha. I'm trying to do a whole bunch of things that a lot of the coaches don't want to do. They don't want to take all that on. But that's what old school coaches did. That's what Coach Gentry did. Yes. That's what Ralph Tasker did. Right. That's what Jim Bradley, who raised me, did. That's guys, New Mexico coach Marv Sanders. Go on down the line. I can go Jimmy Johns. I can go on down the line. That's what we do. We raise all of you. We take the risk. We're going to do it. You're not leaving. Here we go. Let's do this. That's not that way. It's all about the glorification of the coach. It's all about getting me really good here so I can come into New Mexico, get them good, and get a next job. Right. I'm not getting a next job. I'm not looking for a next job. I've had offers for next job.
Yes, you have.
I'm a New Mexican, and we're going to do this, and we're going to take pride in us.
We'll take a quick break here and come back with Ray Birmingham, the head coach of the University of New Mexico Lobos, here on the Sports Desk.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Hoops New Mexico basketball courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Samantha.
Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
One last segment here on the Sports Desk. Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani, our great director, doing an outstanding job as always. And the man to my right, the head coach of the Lobo baseball team, Ray Birmingham. Before we move on, Coach, in this last segment, we were talking about Andre Vijo, and I wanted to mention, because I kind of talked to him about this, and you know, one of the things that you do at the end of the game of wins, you do the fight song. You have the guys line up, you start doing the fight song, and they're doing the Lobo sign. They're singing and everything else. The guy that always stood out to me with the biggest smile while that was going on was Andre Vijo. Yeah. You could tell how proud he was to be a Lobo. Yeah. Near the end of the season, I pulled him aside before one of the games, and I asked him about that. He said, "Oh man, I love it here." And you know, just to see those kind of stories is outstanding with your program, because it goes back to the camaraderie. It goes back to guys that want to be here, and you know, he just, of all the guys, his smile was kind of, it kind of lit up the stadium.
Well, he's a story. He played for Kevin Andrish at Volcano Vistas. Danny Herrera did the same thing. Cody Bowers did the same thing. They're good baseball players. They're good kids. But the biggest thing for me is familia, is family, and I'm the oldest of 10, family of 10. Wow. So most of us New Mexicans can relate to that a little bit, yeah. And that's important. And they do everything. They're proud to represent their community. They're proud to, and it's about pride, man. Pride in us, pride in we. We talk about it all the time. Yep. Us, we. Because if one little bit of selfishness gets into your program or your family, it causes problems. Yep. It always will. You'll never win. The only way you're going to win is be us and we, totally committed to that all the time.
And you see, even I saw this on the road, different groups together. The next time you see them, it's a different group together. Yep. They're all, like you said, everyone eats together. They're all sitting at different tables. Everyone intermingles. So, I mean, you don't have the clique group. You have, everyone being, like you said, part of the family.
They are.
I noticed that immediately. Oh, yeah, very tight.
They're tight. You'll see guys that were seniors when freshmen were here, and they'll be back every year to hang out with that freshman who's now a senior. So it's a family. It's a unit. It's an us and we. And I even have the big leaguers text the other kids that are struggling in the program to cheer them up or to chew their butt or whatever it is. The participation in this program will go on till I'm gone, and then I want those guys to continue to connect with the next guys. So you'll get a text. They'll get a text from Jordan Pacheco. They'll get we haven't had Fregosi text kids. Wow. Yeah. So that's 85. 85 is texting 2017.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do.
That's right.
I mean, right now at our athletic department, I'm really adamant that Don Flanagan be there all the time and hang out. Want to be there. Want to be there and hang out with us. That Rocky Long comes back, wants to hang out with us because he's a legend. And Steve Alford comes back and we welcome him back in. And we do that. And and Alford's there all the time. And all the greats non-grades. So I don't care. Just you want to be there. You cannot not want to go to the athletic side of campus and hang out with all of us. And make it welcome for all. Even downtown Steve Davis, making it rain from way out town.
Speaking of which, we were going to talk about that. We have a little bit of time. Why don't you do the honors of asking the question?
Well, Coach, you mentioned that Steve Davis back in, I don't know what year it was, because you were born in 1955, and Steve Davis was a heck of a player for Clovis, but you mentioned you mentioned that, and back in the day, Hobbs was just dominant.
Yeah, we stomped on the Wildcats.
Steve Davis had 24 points, and you still beat them by how many?
28, I think it was.
He took great pride in that, by the way.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? Back in those days, Clovis was good. Carlsbad was good. Albuquerque High was always good. And you would be tired after a game in Ralph Tasker Arena with Ralph Tasker coaching it, and it was high tempo. He always turned the heat up because he was a running gun team and see if he wear you out. It was 90 degrees in the gym, and people were yelling and screaming. Nobody slowed the ball down. It went back and forth like this. And it would be up by 10 and down by 2, and up by 20 and down by 3. That would go like that. And you got home and you go, oh, wow, and you'd be right back the next day.
Without three-point shots, I want to tell you a story. Bubba Jennings and I are the same
I know
age.
that story.
So, I played the North-South game against him, but I got to tell you this story. Okay, so hot shot competition here in Albuquerque, I won one here in Albuquerque. So go to Phoenix, I have to go to the pit and face the state's best shooter, which was Bubba. And he absolutely, I didn't even have a chance. I thought I could shoot until I saw Bubba. Yeah. And I still say that. Bubba Jennings, I told Scott this.
The best shooter I ever saw.
You know what?
Except for Steve Davis.
Yes. That's the elite company, Coach. But I think I got to say about Bubba is that he squared his shoulders to the basket every single time.
Yeah.
Now, in the state championship when I was a senior, we didn't make the state playoffs, but I talked to some of those Hobbs players later, and they told me that Bubba would tell them, hey, I'm gonna shoot. He had 38 in the final. They lost without three-point shooting. Probably would have had 46 or 50. And those Hobbs guys, Mike Smith, a lot of those guys were telling me that Wallace Williams was saying he would tell them, I'm gonna shoot from here and you can't stop me. Boom, boom, boom. He had 29 against us in the North-South game. Wallace had 28. 120 to 113, the South beat us without three-point shots. People don't get that.
No.
Yeah.
No. We scored 175 without a three-point shot.
Nelson France, another great
8-minute quarters.
Yeah.
Wow.
8-minute quarters.
Nelson France was another great shooter.
I was fixing to say Nelson France.
Right.
Here's a great story, Bubba Jennings. I like this. I like bragging about New Mexico. Bubba Jennings, legend, right? So Bubba Jennings, they go back and look at a game where he scored 75 points. He scored 75, I believe.
Without three-point shot.
Without three-point shot. Had there been a three-point shot, he scored 112.
Wow.
Had that little art been right there, not changed anything where he took those shots, he scored 112.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Now, one of the things that Steve Davis did pop out and say, and I know he's very proud of, and we're all proud of, 10 years of Proview.
How about that? Because I remember when I first got here 10 years ago, it's been over 10 years, starting, my 11th year starts July 1st. Mm-hmm. Steve, I met Steve right away, because I was looking to make some T-shirts. And I went over and sat with him, and I remembered him from Clovis, mutual friend John Harris. And he goes, I want to start a TV station. I'm about ready to do that. I go, really? And remember, he had it over on Academy in Wyoming, and he had that little bitty camera in the back, and it was kind of tight. And look, it's bigger now. Those are real cameras. It's real TV. He's doing really things, and he said it then, and he stayed the course. You know why? Because that guy's a stud, and he's a New Mexican.
Yeah,
that's right.
And his company obviously produced Lobo games for the Mountain West.
Yeah.
I had a chance to work on some of those this year also.
You know what you guys did is that now I'm getting letters I'll get phone calls from Lordsburg, Animas. I had a guy call me from Animas.
Nice.
He goes, what are you doing changing that pitcher in the 7th? I go, where's this guy from? He goes, I'm from Animas. I go, that's awesome. Nobody knows where Animas is at.
Right. So people are helping you coach.
He threw my butt from Animas. Awesome.
At least someone's watching. Coach, one quick question. You mentioned family. Can you talk about your assistants? I know about pitching coach Ken Hockamy. Could you mention your assistant coaches real quick?
Yeah, I got Ken Hockamy as a pitching coach. He's been here for quite some time and bounced around from his positions. He'd been a recruiting coordinator and a pitching coach, and he wanted to try pitching coach 2 years ago, and I was looking for another one. I said, because Dan had gone off to Washington State.
Right.
So we said, okay, let's give it a shot. And then Buddy Goldsmith, who was the head coach at UNLV, was the assistant under Jim Schlossnagle, and the head after that is my recruiting coordinator.
And in closing, Coach, he can sing too.
Buddy can sing. Buddy is.
He did when I saw him.
Buddy, we call Buddy Google. We call him Google because there's nothing that he don't know.
Yeah.
You can just ask Buddy, he knows.
I want to thank you, Coach, for joining us here. Thank you as always, my friend.
Great meeting you, man. God dang, how did I not meet you?
You bet, Coach.
Well, usually on the field when he comes in, so BP, you know, taking care of business.
Yeah.
He just kind of steps in, takes the mic, and you never get up.
Thanks for doing this. This makes New Mexico tie together.
He's Ray Birmingham, the head coach of the Lobo baseball team. For Alden Iowani, our fine director, and for my partner Ed Nunez, I'm Scott Coletti. We'll talk to you next week on the Sports Desk.